Hey guys, welcome to another week here where we break down the analysis. I'll do another breakdown, and today is a very important day. And earlier on today, I was the TradeSense CEO Vimal Chudasama, and we're talking a bit about how the interest rates are going to affect the markets today. And I remember from his conversation, and shout out to you Vimal, thank you for the advice. He was basically talking about the main intention what people are really waiting for is not even to listen to the interest rates, because people know there's a high chance the interest rates are going to be hiked. But the question is, what is the plan that the Feds have going on? So that is what is important. So the main attention won't to be on the release. It might be if it comes out unexpectedly, maybe if they hiked up too much, that of course will affect the market. Or if they don't do anything, that will of course affect the market. But we expect sort of a small rate hike. But the plan is, what is the plan going forward? And that plan is going to be discussed by Jerome Powell towards the end. If you know how, if you've been watching the Feds and if you've been watching interest rates, what usually happens is the first 30 minutes after, because at 9 p.m. today, I believe it's 9 p.m. Kenyan time, the interest rates are going to be released. We'll know what it is. Then at 9:30 for the next 30 minutes, Jerome Powell is going to do a short speech, which he normally does for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then the rest 15 to 10 minutes is normally does Q&A, where the people ask him questions and he answers in regards to what he sees in the economy and the plan going ahead of how they're going to control inflation. Okay, so that's what we're paying attention today. Let's see how that goes. Apart from that, technically markets haven't been moving much since Monday. Okay, so whenever you see such a situation, basically it's normally in the anticipation of waiting for some interest rates to come out, or some release, some news data, maybe elections or whatever it may be, maybe CPI, inflation numbers. So we're normally waiting to see that, and that's what I've seen better part of this week. If you're in our groups, in our journal groups, in our WhatsApp group, Discord group, Telegram group, I shared my analysis for the week, and ever since, and that was yesterday, and I haven't seen much happening in the markets. I'm looking for a bit of some US 30 going down, a bit of the dollar bit rising up a bit, USD CAD going up, the Aussie dollar going down, and that's what I'll share with you today. So without further ado, allow me to go straight into the chart analysis. So looking at the fundamentals, we can see that today, actually, I was actually right. At 9 p.m., we have the Fed's fund rate, which is basically the interest rates. What we're expecting, you can see the forecast of most people is to increase that to around 2.5% from a 1.75%. So that's almost a 75 basis point increase, and you can see those are quite steep increases. Okay, I was also looking at Bloomberg earlier on today, and we saw that the Feds were also looking, the Kenyan, not the Feds, but the Kenyan CBK are also looking to do some interest rates increase to 8% pre-elections, before elections hit. So you are yet to see how that is going to affect the markets. It might sort of help a bit to control the prices of things like unga and the food prices that are going up, but all those are normally theoretical. We're yet to see if it will work practically. Okay, so that's much of what we're waiting up this week. And at 9:30, you can see we have the press conference, as I said, of where we're going to watch Jerome Powell talking to the people and what he's going to say about the markets. Okay, so if I go straight to my analysis, let me start with the dollar. Before I go to the rest of that, so what am I watching on the dollar? Looking at the daily chart. Remember, I'm a swing trader, so I'm normally looking for long-term analysis, long-term trades. You can see the trend has been to the upside, and if you've been buying the dollar, you've been making much more money than the people who have been trying to sell, because the underlying trend has been to the upside. So currently we can see that market created a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Currently we're at a higher low, and if you go to the 4-hour chart just to look at the clear patterns that are forming down there, we can see that market sort of we're within a consolidation between these ranging levels. Okay, and as I said, markets this week haven't really done much, as we anticipate the Fed's meeting later on today. So we are yet to see what will happen today before we see whatever will happen to this, whether we'll have a breakout to the downside or to the upside. Okay, either I'm open for any, and I'll take my precaution and my trades accordingly to what happens. Remember, I keep saying this and I say it a lot. I'm not trying to forecast the market, but being an observer of the market and acting accordingly to what the market tells me. So that's what I'll be watching later on today, and let's see how that performs and what happens later on. Okay, so I don't have anything much. Remember, I don't use too much data, too much indicators. I'm basically watching the price action because I believe that the price action, everything is embedded in the price action, be it fundamental, psychology, and anything. Everything is embedded on the technical analysis, the price action. Okay, so that's what I specialize in, and that's what I've trained myself to look at. And I really pay attention to those subtle information that market gives me, like a breakout of this and a close above it. A break and a close can really initiate buys. Okay, a quick break and a quick close back below can also initiate sells. Okay, a break to the downside also, I'm looking at the same rules that I'm paying attention if it breaks to the upside. Okay, just what I've explained. So that's what I'll be watching on this one. Let's see how it goes. It's a really important data that I'm waiting to see. Let's see how that works. I'll be paying a lot of attention to what Jerome Powell will be saying after the fund rates, the Fed rates have been released. Okay, so I don't have anything much on this one. Daily chart, remember, the trend is your friend until the trend breaks. So still looking to the upside momentum, and let's see how that continues. If you look at the daily close for yesterday, it sort of engulfed these previous 4 days of chart work. Okay, and it can continue to catapult to the upside using the interest rates as a catalyst. So we're yet to see how that goes. Okay, apart from that, let's go to my Dow Jones. What am I expecting to see on this one? I've been really patient on this one, looking for markets to continue moving to the downside. If inflation is still going up, interest rates are still being hiked, I still see this market going further and further down. Okay, if you look, I've been marking my lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Expect a lower high to be formed around the 32,300 and the 32,500 region. I'll show you on the 4-hour chart where I'm looking at the 32,300. But to the upside, if you go very much, I'm looking at this resistance level at the 32,500. If we break that level, mind you, so I'm very open, as I keep saying, if you break that level, market moves and closes to the upside, then this market can start moving quite high. I do not see that anytime soon, especially if we're still increasing interest rates, if inflations are still rising. I still see this market moving to the downside. And if you go to the 4-hour chart, I have a much clearer analysis. Okay, so you can see I'm looking at the 32,300, which was a previous, if I zoom it out, previous support. Okay, so you can see here to the previous support, sort of a support here, and then market started breaking up and below it. Okay, and then currently I'm trying to see how market will pull to that level. Okay, I'm also watching a flag formation, trying to see how this flag will be respected around the 32,300 level. Okay, also a break below this support level also can initiate my short positions, but right here there's a lot of uncertainty. So if market is able to spike above, hopefully it does, it will give me a better risk reward. I'll be looking to short the markets at that level. If it breaks to the downside, I'll start acting accordingly. Okay, so that's what I'm watching on this one. Nothing much. This is the main pair that I have on my radar for this week to get a trade. The other pairs that I have, I'm just really watching. If you start with gold, if you go to the daily chart, we had sort of a channel pattern to the downside. Okay, market has really been respecting this pattern to the downside. If you watch last week's analysis or the previous weeks, I've been talking a lot about seeing market going to the 1675 level, exactly where market sort of came shy of. We hit the around the $1680 mark. We came shy off by 50 pips. Okay, very good respect, and market shot back to the upside, and currently we are respecting the 1725 level. So you can see our market is sort of not really breaking above it. If I go to the 4-hour chart, if you zoom it out, I have a secondary channel formation, and you can see, if you drew it quite clearly, you can see how we bounced off the upper side, the downs up this second bounce. Okay, and we respected it also to the downside. Look at that bounce, and market came here and bounced off it. Okay, and we're seeing sort of market correcting to the upside. If market continues moving to the downside, especially with the dollar becoming much more stronger, we can easily see this one continuing now, even going further below the 1675. But if not, and market is able to break above the 1725 barrier, then we can see this market move higher, at least to come and respect this trend line that I have here. So you're seeing we have a first touch here, a second touch here. I want to see how market will come and respect it for a third time. Okay, so that's what I'm paying attention to on gold. I don't have any really trade, no bias. I'm really quite open to see what will happen in this market. Okay, if you go to Aussie dollar market is at a critical point. If you look at the daily chart, actually, if you pay much more attention to the 4-hour chart, we can see that the market is sort of at a critical level. So you can see this first touch, second touch, okay? And right now, market is at a critical level, a third trendline bounce with the fading momentum. That's what I'm watching. And what I'm expecting is to see market correct to back to the 0.6850 mark, okay? That's what I'm waiting to see. If can we get that correction to that level? And if we do, will we bounce off it, or will we break below and continue moving further down? So that's exactly what I'm watching. Let's see how that goes. With this fading momentum here, I'm really expecting to see market correct to the downside, okay? So this can offer a very good trade. I was watching it yesterday, a very good risk reward. If you take the two, which I was watching yesterday, it stops just above the trend line and looking for a target at the what I was talking about. You can get an easy 1:2 risk reward, okay? Normally in my trades I normally get risk rewards of 1:3, 1:4. So 1:2 is the minimal risk reward I can take in my trading system. So that's what I'm watching. You can see I'm just looking at patterns are galore. There are very much patterns forming here. So this is what I'm watching on this one. If you go further and you want to be very deep in that analysis, if you take a trend line here and draw a line here, if this line is broken, then we can start easily seeing a move to the downside, maybe even a move, a retest, and a move further down. But this is a very clear analysis that I'm watching to see how it will pan out later on today. And last but not least, on the pairs that I watch as well, looking at USD CAD. You can see USD CAD has a very strong downward momentum, okay? Breaking all the key levels. We had this key level here at the 1.3075. We broke it, came and broke this other one. This was actually a good break, and I did a good analysis on this one as well. I broke it down, I think, last week, okay? This was the 1.30 level. The 1.2950 level. Market, you can see how we respected support, broke it, retest once, and a second time, and then we move further down, okay? So now I'm looking at this major support. Let's see how we can respect this level. Can we move further up, either to go break above this resistance level or break the support level at the lower level, okay? So as I said, a lot of these things, the catalyst that is going to help push up, break this level is the interest rates that are going to be later on today. So we need to pay a lot of attention to it. I expect that later on, better part of today, market just moving sideways until we get a break of either side, okay? And if I finish off just looking at Euro USD, so I just like looking at this ones, doing a rough analysis, especially for my students. What I'm watching on this one, I don't have anything much. I'm looking at this pattern over here. Also, market has more or less been in a sideways movement. That's what we got here. Yesterday, we saw market sort of moving down with momentum to the downside. Let's see if that can be sustained and the Euro USD continues to move down, even maybe lower of the parity level. Especially if the interest rates are increased, that means that's good news to the dollar. We might see the dollar continuing to move further and further down. We saw last week ECB increasing their interest rates, and it's the first move they've done after a very long while. That's why we saw a bit of some euro strength, but the dollar is much more stronger. Their interest rates are much more higher. So if you're looking at what we call carry trade, where you're basically trading currencies to get profits from the difference of interest rates, the dollar stands a better chance as compared to the euro. So we can easily see this market continuing to move further down, and GBP USD on the other side has sort of tried to maintain this momentum to the upside, but like I said as well, there's no much momentum to the upside. So we can easily see this market fade off and move strongly towards the downside, especially after the interest rates later on today. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it of what I'm watching late today. So you can see a lot of my emphasis. I'm very open, waiting to see how the interest rates are going to act and what we'll see Jerome Powell saying later on at the press conference about the future of the economy and how they're going to help the interest rates, help the inflation by using the interest rate as a tool, okay? So that's pretty much it. I don't have anything much. I'll see you guys on Friday when we do the next analysis. So as I keep saying, remember, stay woke and stay financially literate. Peace. Thank you very much for watching Financial Hub's content on YouTube. For more forex analysis, financial education, podcasts, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.